I'll talk a little bit about the company I founded. We've been around for some time. We have an office here in London. I'm based out of San Francisco, although I spend a fair bit of time here in London, and we also have an office, a couple of offices in India. Little bit about us. We are a services firm. We implement stuff for enterprise customers, and essentially, if you look at the two sort of different strategies about us. One, we definitely do software engineering work, but we also do data engineering work. So, and a lot of the AI stuff that you have, whether it's structured or unstructured, you still have to have a great deal of data engineering that goes along with it, along with your applications. So what I'll do today is, we'll talk about intelligent agents. Many of you are already using it, but we'll talk about how they impact the enterprise and how it makes productivity a great deal in terms of use in the enterprise. So intelligent agents, right? We sort of group them into these four buckets, right? So there's this aspect of a personal agent, a co-pilot, something on your iPhone just came out, Apple Intelligence, Gemini on your Android phone, or you may be using Copilot on your phone as well. That is a personal agent, does an immense amount of work for you, can do a variety of different things. And if you're using Copilot at work, that is extremely useful as well, right? When we talk about enterprise agents, that is where a function in a company, a function in an organization can use an AI agent to do some job, right? Could be as simple as an HR agent, and we'll talk about that a little bit. And then I'll show you a demo of some of these things, but one important thing I want to point out is the business process agent. This is where an enterprise process can actually benefit a great deal in terms of both saving time and increasing accuracy, right? So we'll show you that. And then the whole aspect of multi-agents, where agents are talking amongst themselves to enable an end-to-end process that may be way more complex than just saying one business process. Could be multi-business processes. So, and all these impact productivity, right? When you look at your personal agent, it's an assistant for yourself, right? So you're basically looking at, hey, summarize my emails, tell me what happened in this meeting, teach me something that, maybe write code for me or something like that. And really around analysis of basic data, I don't know how to do pivot tables in Excel. I'll just put it in my Copilot and see how I can get that done. And then really improve my accuracy, reduce my errors, improve the accuracy. That's really what a personal agent is all about. In terms of enterprise agents, right, the whole aspect of a function of an enterprise could be, I'm an HR manager and I have queries that employees ask me, can an AI agent solve that for me? And maybe that reduces the mundane aspect of my job and I can focus on some higher value tasks. Same thing with all these other applications. You may have manufacturing, supply chain, your CRM application. Let's say I'm a call center agent, a contact center agent, I'm answering customer calls. Before the call comes in, I actually have some information about what that call is going to be about and what I should what I should do in terms of action, right? So it's suggesting the next best action for me. So if I look at something like an HR agent, this is a screenshot of one of the implementations that we've done for a client. Let me zoom that in a little bit. But this is very basic in terms of what we've done. We've taken the employee handbook, we've put it in an agent. The agent can now answer any questions about, hey, what is paternity leave that's available across the board. But then I can do one other task where I can say, how much leave do I have left? And the agent can come back and ask me, hey, you've got 5 days remaining this year, would you like me to put in a request so that your manager gets it, right? So those kind of things are simple, easy to do, but very productive in terms of how we are doing some of these things. Now, one thing we wanted to show you is how do you do data analytics? I think Suhail, I don't think he's in the room anymore, but he talked a lot about how you can get analytics on data. But think about an enterprise. Think about data sources that are from your different applications, from your CRM application, your supply chain, your finance systems, your sales and revenue projections. How would you take that data and see what insights you can get out of it? There are two options today. You can do querying using SQL on that data, or you can have a dashboard. Those dashboards will vary from person to person, company to company. Some of these will be outdated in a matter of days. And some of them, we'll have to wait till the next refresh happens. So we have a demo here. This is something we've done for multiple companies, but in this case, it's a med device manufacturer, right? And this interface, it could be in any application. It could be on the intranet. It could be on their Teams. It could be on Slack. Doesn't really matter. But the idea is that how do I ask a simple question, natural language question, and basically get an answer? So I can do things like, let's say revenue for Q1 of 2024. And I can say broken by region. So it'll basically go and give me that information. And I'm let's say playing the role of a CFO right now. So I have access to a much broader data set that somebody else might have. So if I was playing the role of a salesperson, the same interface works, but now my role is different. Therefore, the access that I have is also different. Jay, this is not the right demo, I think. Sorry, guys. I had to switch laptops, so I'm not sure what's going on. Anyway, I think this is the problem with live demos, right? Or laptops that we are switching at the end. But really, what this is doing is any of these questions, and it doesn't matter, these don't have to be prompts that are pre-configured. Any prompt that a user can think of, as long as they have access to the data, and as long as the model has access to the metadata, so model understands what these figures are, what these numbers are, that is what really matters to give a response back to the user. So you could do things like, I could have asked the next question, can you compare this to the last quarter? I could have I could have played the role of a product manager. I could say, hey, can you tell me what the best performing products were? And it would give me that answer. I could be the sales guy, and I could say, this is a medical device company. I could say, show me surgeons who were using my product last year, but haven't done any cases using my product this year. So that would be another sort of area of use, so that then at that point, I can say, hey, there are these 5 surgeons that used to use my product all the time, but they're not using it anymore. They're in my territory. What should I do? I should talk to them, see if they are using a competitor product or something of that sort. So that this intelligence, this actionable data is available to the user based on a basic natural language query. They don't need to know anything about the data set that is underlying. The data engineering aspect has taken care of that. Now all they're saying is, this is the relevant information that I need. Can I get it at a ask of a question, right? So that's really what this is doing. And essentially every persona is something that is that is available here, where I could play different roles, or I could have different user access based on who I am in the organization. Okay, so this was sorry, the demo didn't work, but I apologize for that. But I think it was something with the laptop switch at the end. The whole aspect of business process agent, right? So we have our customers challenge us all the time about, how do we use AI in different aspects of our business, right? So And some of these customers are being told by their board that they need to use AI. Some of them are being asked by their managers as to what they're doing with AI. And the aspect of doing AI for the heck of it, maybe because it's fashionable, is not the right model to go for. So what we do is we do a discovery session, which would involve looking at different processes and understanding where AI might fit in, and may be able to make a meaningful difference in the use case, right? So in one of these clients basically gave us a problem to solve. There were about 15 different processes across 4 different business units that we took on, and the first one that we did about 6-7 months ago was for their procurement team. So I'll put the problem statement here. They had about 300 different tenders that they put out every year. So this is about a $5 billion organization in revenue. These tenders would be anything from procuring hard goods to services to facilities and associated elements of those facilities. And since they're a public procurement, these tenders go on a public website, and there may be 10, 15, 20 bidders that respond to these tenders. And in this bidding, you could have, there's no structured format that the bidders need to respond to. So some may provide 5 documents, some may provide 50 documents, some may say, I've got Excel spreadsheets, PDFs, so structured and unstructured data, right? You may have a financial statement being provided as a scanned, audited document. You may have Excel spreadsheet that says, here are the financials of this company. It was taking them about 8 to 14 weeks to finally select the right vendor for a particular tender and award them the contract, right? And there were about a staff of about 24 that was doing this job, and really the analyst part was the most cumbersome bit, right? So to take a look at, for one tender, if I have 400 documents and I'm looking at 20 different selection criteria, it takes time. It takes 2 days just to come up with one selection criteria and say, okay, this is how I rank these various suppliers, and that too is then prone to errors. So we sort of did a AI-based procurement engine, which took every tender document that they had, and any future tender documents that they may put out. It would read that tender document, essentially create a prompt list for the criteria, for the selection criteria. And the selection criteria might be qualitative, provide me references. How would you do something like this? Those kind of questions in the RFP or the tender. And it may be quantitative. Give me your revenue for the past 3 years. Give me the current ratio of what your assets to spend is. And these things are really, really cumbersome and quite time consuming. So what we did is I'm going to switch gears again, see if I can I can use the demo again. Okay, let's see. So the tender criteria, the tender that they gave us was basically for electric. The one I'm going to show you is for EV charging points at their facilities. So they have I don't know how many, 50, 60 different buildings that they operate out of, and they wanted electric vehicle charging points there. So they issued a tender, and about 20 vendors responded to it. So when I clicked on that tender, it basically created this eligibility criteria. This was, okay. Okay, you can see it now. So basically, these questions on the eligibility criteria on the left-hand side, these are from the document itself. These are from the tender document. So you heard about RAG multiple times in the last day and a half. This is basically RAG at work, and it's taking the tender document, which is in this case it's one document in 4 different languages. So it's Dutch, French, German, and English, and it's basically taking that and extracting this criteria. More than just extracting the criteria, what it's doing is it's taking those questions and making them as prompts to look at the responses. So if I was to click on this one question, and you'll see the answer come up. Basically, what this did is it went through, in this case, it was about 350 documents for this tender. It went through those tender documents, all the responses from the vendors, and it basically created a table for the analyst to look at. And in this table, as you can see, it gave the revenue for the 3 years, and the minimum revenue required, the criteria is 3 million euros. And if you look at it, there's some places where the revenue was not provided, or the model did not find the revenue. And in some cases, there were two numbers, so conflicting information was available. And now the analyst can basically look at this information, has all the citations available to them, and they can look at it and they can say, okay, I'm going to trust this data, but I'm going to verify where I feel I need to, right? And so this is sort of, think about it, this kind of work would take the analyst about 2 days to do, just to sift through the documents, tabulate it, make this table, and rank the vendors based on this. So the human in the loop is still extremely important. Now I can take a look at a qualitative question, and this is really something that it's again sifting through these documents. No standardization in terms of the documents. It's looking at various formats, various languages. It's coming up with this table that says how many references can you provide, and the minimum references, I think that they need 3 references. So it's giving the references that each of these vendors have provided, and it's basically saying, okay, here's a table that you can look at, and by the way, again, citations for everything are available here. What the model can also do is model can also calculate certain things. So do you have a current ratio of at least 0.6? So this is a calculated element. So I can basically look at this and I can say, yeah, these companies have the current ratio that is more than 0.6. Some of these I can't calculate, maybe because they haven't given that information. So now if I have to do a follow-up, it's very easy for me to say, I want to do a follow-up with Power Node, and I want to do a follow-up with Charge Fleet as to why they haven't provided some information. So really powerful stuff, and the track that we are in, the productivity track, it really drives down the amount of time that the user is spending to do their job in this case. So very useful in terms of how this is working for these users. I'm going to switch gears again and go back to the presentation. Okay. So what you saw here, kind of important to note, enterprises are very careful or very skeptical about what is going on with their data. So I want to point out a few things, right? Any large enterprise is going to have security, compliance, things like GDPR, privacy. So one big thing here, we are not taking any of this data outside the walls that they have been in, right? So if this was a SharePoint site at the customer's location in this case, we never took any single document out of it. So we are not taking it we are a services company, so it's not like we are offering this as a product. It's a product built for the customer. So we have solution accelerators that we use, but it's basically built for the customer. So none of this data, first of all, is going out anywhere other than where it currently resides, right? So it's in their Azure environment. I think this was in SharePoint, where it could have been Box, it could have been AWS, it could have been any other area, right? The second thing, the model is not being trained to, the public aspect of the model is not being trained based on these criteria or these prompts, right? So essentially, everything that you saw is available only to the customer that we did this for. It's not available to the outside world, right? So that's and again, from a security standpoint, that's also relevant. Third aspect of who has access to it, that is controlled by who's logging into the system, and how much access do they have is also being controlled by that, right? So that's sort of the 3 main areas that we get questions on all the time as to, hey, is my data being exposed? Is the model learning from my data? Is this something that I'll end up seeing somewhere else in the public domain? None of that is an issue here, and there are obviously ways that we prove it in terms of satisfying a query or a set of queries from the compliance team or the security team or the data security team. So I think one thing we wanted to sort of make sure that we talk about here also, when you're talking about productivity, right? A lot of people get sort of wound up in this whole thing of how many minutes does it save? What is the ROI? What is how many hours is it taking? It's like a old time study type model of it takes me 10 hours to do this job. Can I do it in one? Right? And in most cases, what you'll find is the results are so indisputable, and they're so unbelievable in terms of the amount of time saving or the efficiency it's getting, that you don't need to worry about of course you will do an ROI, but you don't need to get caught up in the metrics of what that ROI might require, right? So the aspect of this is taking AI, empowering the person that is doing the job, and basically making it easy for them. That's one, and having them do a sort of a job which is probably less mundane and requires their attention more than that, right? In the case that you saw in the customer example that we gave, those 24 people, they were relieved that this stuff was being done automatically, and they were actually focusing on more work. And essentially, what was happening is they were able to process more tenders through. So, those 300 tenders that they were talking about, they actually had the need to do about 100 more in a year. So they were able to do that, right? Second thing, it is actually streamlining processes, right? So, we talk about business process reengineering, and that's been a core of what digital transformation has been over the last decade or decade and a half. That is actually being done in a much better way now. And the whole aspect of data, it's all data driven, right? So the model doesn't know anything other than what it's looking at in terms of data. So when a data element pops up, the value pops up, the model basically presents it to a human, and the human is basically saying, okay, yeah, I can make a decision based on this data. And you still have the capability to trust it and still verify it because you have all the citations available. Secondly, I think the outcomes need to be measured, right? So every aspect of the job, every aspect of the automated job is being recorded and monitored. Who has access to it is also being monitored. So you're basically saying, what are the outcomes that I'm measuring, and how am I showing up in terms of my dashboard, in terms of efficiency gain, in terms of reducing the errors that I might have introduced as a manual entry, and how is this doing overall for the productivity of the organization. So in this case, I mean, these guys saw about 60% higher throughput, and automation really was about 80+% of the job. I think I'll end it here. Thank you very much for your time, and thanks for bearing with us in terms of this whole glitch of the computer issue. And thank you very much, Matt.